Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on January 5th. My apologies. The journey continues today on January 6th, 2023 at approximately 4:21 p.m. PST. And Joe, I see you've even got into the room before I did. So congratulations, you come in with the gold. Or maybe a little higher than that. I'm not quite certain what that would be. Maybe the platinum? What do you think? You know, I returned to this world for one dog face, and you're in with the silver. I came to this world for one primary reason this lifetime, and that is to remind everybody that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, there will be some people that are not impressed. Chad, welcome aboard. And you come in with the bronze today. I bill myself as a spiritual guide for one primary reason. The tools I offer people are the same tools that I personally use. Okay, and the philosophies of life I talk about are precisely the same philosophies that I actually live by. Now, the thing is, I got looking at it, and this year is starting off with a real bang for me. You know, last year, right at the end of last year, I fired my publisher. This year, I had an opportunity, at least it looked like an opportunity, to actually go on the London Book Fair. But the company that was trying to get me to do it, that said they were interested in working with me, could not follow even the simplest instruction. I.e., in this case, it was very specific. Do not contact me until Monday because I won't know whether I've got the money available until then. Now, that was told to them on Thursday. Again, they phoned me again this morning. So what did I do? I said, go away. I'm not doing it with you, period. Okay. You know, the reality is that one of the things I keep trying to remind people of, keep reminding people of, is set your boundaries in place, the ones that you're content with. Okay. You know, and the nice part about it, what do we got here? Can't see. And I'm waiting for my computer to pay a couple pieces. What do we got here? Just looking. Not quite. I actually wanted to get ahead of my own self. But the reality of it is, I do not like being last, as it were. Oh, that's okay, Cliff. Welcome aboard, by the way. And you, by the way, come in with the honorable mention. I actually just finished dinner about 10 minutes before I got started here. Matter of fact, it was really tight. I didn't even finish pouring my coffee before I could grab a cup. But you know, right at the beginning of this year, I started telling people, I started suggesting you pick a priority, pick something that you desire to accomplish. Make that a priority, move everything else out of the way. Now, here's the thing. Okay, I talk about doing this. And like I said, I put a list of priorities together myself. But this year, I just fired another company. You know, I'm just a little fish, really, comparatively. But if you think about it, a piranha is a little fish, too. Okay, and they can make one heck of a mess of things. But this is why I say working together. You know, that working together, we can make this work. The unfortunate part is most people are so caught up, it seems, in the idea. You know, most people are so caught up in the idea that we have to beat the person next to us. And you know, it's like the concept goes regarding being in the outback of Canada. You always take somebody with you, not necessarily because you have to have company with you, But if you ever start getting chased by a grizzly bear, you never have to outrun the grizzly bear. You simply have to outrun the guy that's with you. Now we've got about 8 billion people on this planet. Okay, and from my standpoint, that's not a bad run. But it also means that there are way more people than any one of us is going to be able to take care of on our own. This is why we have to work together. Yeah, I like your goal there, Dogface. Okay, let's not forget. Now, Dogface has gone. He's gone. My only goal for 2023 is no drama, peace, and quiet. Now, if we read that wrong, it can get really confusing. But let us remember, if you don't desire drama in your life, do not bring it into other people's lives. Okay. It's like I've told people, the real punishment for somebody that lies is not that nobody will believe them. The real punishment is that they will never believe anybody else. Now, in my case, I came to a very simple conclusion. I've been sitting on a company, Inner Voice Enterprises, since 2007. And because I was working, I kept putting things off and just going, I don't have to worry about it too much. Stupid move. I knew better. And I've been telling a lot of people that were starting their own businesses, you do not postpone it. Okay, when you've got an idea in your mind, start working on it. So this year, YJ, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Okay, now I will take your word for that. YJ just said tonight is what's called a micro full wolf moon. Full moons are usually a time where everything is shown to be what it is, and it casts a light upon everything that's usually hidden. Okay, the neat little part, and something you really got to remember, is people talk about the full moon affecting people's moods, and it does. But I will tell you this, it is more of an adverse effect if you're under a full moon. Check the state of the moon you were under when you were born. If you were born under a full moon, the full moon is likely to bring a sense of peace and quiet to you. If you were born on the opposite moon, in other words, a new moon, the full moon is likely to bring chaos. And quite frankly, vice versa. But let us not forget, whatever is going on around you, you have the ability to shift the focus on it. I know today is going to be, the whole aspect of my energy levels has shifted gears. And what's happened is I ended up with a problem. That's working really well. I found the same thing with regards to astrology. Shadow, welcome aboard. Glad you could join us. This isn't actually, granted you didn't get here right at the 4:30 mark, but I don't personally consider it being late. I put some goals in mind because I sat on my company for, realistically, 15 years. And now I've gone, okay, let's see, what am I going to do with this? And as I've said, it's very critical with any income. Okay, find, especially if you're self-employed, but honestly, find 3 stable sources of income. Make sure each one of them is providing half of the income that you personally require to run your home. Okay. Now, yes, if you are making half of all 3, this means you're running at 150% profit line, which is great. But the reason for that is because if one of your streams doesn't hold up, then the other one will, and then the other 2 will keep you running smoothly. Very critical point. Now, I've already worked out. I worked it out actually the other day. No, I re-verified it this morning. I guess that's another day in a different way. But I turned around and worked out what it's actually going to cost me once I get rid of the debts to actually run my house. Okay. Now, when I'm talking about running your house, I mean, what have you got? What's your rent or lease? Your utilities, which include your power, water, internet, phone, okay, and one credit card, okay, plus your insurance as in automobile, home, and health, okay, and let us not forget food, entertainment, and savings, okay. Now, by doing that, by balancing that out and figuring it out, you can actually get things moving in the right direction. Now, just bringing mine online so I can actually see what's being written in the chat room without actually having to deal with it. Where are we here? Okay. Now, with this in mind, I worked that out. I worked out all of what I require, and as it turns out, I eliminate my auto loan, which I'll be dealing with, and my credit card, the back debt loan. I can actually run my household on $2,400 a month. Yes, I've got a smoking deal on my rent, but that's because I've been here for 9 years. 9 years? 9 years now. Needless to say, if my rent is low, that does not mean it doesn't make a lot of sense to change it. So how do you go about taking whatever your primary goal is and making it a reality? Well, the first thing you do is you take a look at it and go, okay, what is my primary goal? Is it finance? Is it dropping weight? Is it eliminating drama from your life? Okay, now do understand, anytime you eliminate one thing, okay, you're going to have to adjust for the changes. Now, one of the key factors, like I agree absolutely, and who was it here? Sure. No, I can't find it. I have no idea how any of you actually pull this one off, but what the heck? Here we go. Yeah, I absolutely agree with Dogface. One of the ways that I solved that problem myself. Cliff, welcome aboard. Glad you could join us. You know, one thing I found, one of the ways I solved the problem of too much drama in my life is I just don't go, I just don't go anywhere. Okay, like I stay at home. Yes, I'm reclusive, but it does cut down on the amount of stress I have with dealing with other people. Now I'm just looking down here. Holy mackerel. Yeah, mine, quite honestly there, Dogface, mine is just about double yours. Okay. Yeah, that would be great. I love your idea there, YJ. I really do. YJ says fixing cars has been a good one too. Buy them cheap, fix them up, and usually double the money. And if I could find the oil cap on a car, I'm doing really, really good. So I think I'll leave the fixing cars to somebody else. Okay. The neat part, like myself, it really boils down to this. I required all the stuff to get out of all the clutter to get out of my way. So as you can see, this shelf that used to be over here isn't there anymore. It's been moved along with all its contents to another section because I wasn't getting rid of the stuff. Okay, but you see the green filing cabinet behind me now. All of my 2023 stuff is in the top shelf now. It's been reorganized so that I know exactly where I'm standing. Okay. And this is a question of taking the clutter, taking the energy that isn't running smoothly, and moving it in the right direction. Okay. The other neat little aspect of it is this. If you're not content with the way your life is, it's not whether anybody else is content. It's whether you're content. And yes, I know that sounds like we're being a little on the selfish side. But this is why karmic law is very simple. Be true to yourself first. Well, here's one of those neat little things. Just what you said there, YJ, brings to mind one aspect of what I'm doing with Inner Voice Enterprises. I originally built it in such a way that I had open doors. I knew it was going to be writing, but I've done absolutely jack with it. Okay, I've kept it running. I've kept it running as a business for a lot of reasons. That is absolutely the case, Dogface. If you desire to make your life better than what it was, you've got to have a foundation. You've got to look at what you're building. Now, here's the thing. Directly to those of you who are writing. Okay, I will tell you this. From my own personal experience, I have seen companies that claim to be massive, major players in the publishing game. And I've heard countless tales of people turning around and submitting their book to different publishers. And the publisher comes back and goes, oh, this isn't good enough. We're not going to touch it. One of the things I am seriously considering doing, well, I will be doing it. I'm just writing down the framework. So it's likely going to be about 6 months, rough guess, rough gauge, to make it happen. As I figure out how to get my books to make money, I am going to be opening up another aspect. Because, like I said, you've got to have 3 aspects, or you're best off having 3 aspects and 3 profit lines, 3 income lines in any business. So what I'm doing with Inner Voice Enterprises is I am doing my writing. I already do consulting, both personal and private, both personal and business. Okay. Now, I'm calling it consulting, but the reality of it is, because I don't like the term psychic by any stretch. I have been a spiritual guide since I was a child. Okay, so I will be building on that. It's funny because I'm going to open that door and see what happens. And no sooner did I make that decision than I've already booked a consultation session for tomorrow. Okay, and this is just decide you're going to make it happen. Where it comes to the books, what I'm looking at as far as the overall concept goes, because I am going to be opening up the publishing to handle other people's books. But here's the kicker to it. I'm not going to be looking at the books going, oh, this isn't good enough or this isn't big enough. I would look at it, and this is why it's going to take me some time. Because I'm going to be looking at the issue of somebody's got a book they desire published. Now, do you want it published? The couple of questions I have to look at. And I'll be looking into how to market it because I'll be simply replicating what I'm doing with my books. Okay, it's just that simple. I am not some sort of a massive multimillionaire and business mogul. I just know what I've seen work and what I've seen that doesn't. Absolutely there, Joe. Joe's just saying getting better, proper sleep or getting enough sleep. Know what your stress triggers are and try to avoid them. Okay. My only problem with sleep, well, aside from the fact I don't get much, is I never get anything accomplished while I'm sleeping. which is not entirely correct, it turns out. But what I'm going to be doing with the publishing aspect of Inner Voice is going, okay, you've got a book that you desire published. Here's what it's going to cost you to publish it. Here's what I'm going to get, what I get out of it. If you desire it edited, then I will work out what it's going to cost to edit it. Okay. And that will be added on top. Okay, because from there, if you don't want it edited, then I'm not going to worry about it. But I'm going to talk to a lawyer at some point and go, okay, I need a document written up that protects me in this way. That this is the percentage that I get. This is the waiver, so I don't get liability if there are publication problems with it. As far as changes in wording and what have you, because I won't be touching it if people don't desire it. When I said I don't accomplish much, the marketing program that I woke up with was absolutely mind-boggling. I'm not going to be selling the marketing program because trying to explain it is a royal pain. And I'm simply using it for my profit sharing program. Now, I've already worked that out all the way down to the point of once I get the company big enough to require bigger assistance, okay, that's when I'm going to start opening doors. And that's something I do have to, and I know you guys have mentioned it a fair chunk about getting a moderator in here to help with some of the odds and ends. So I have to look into that as well. Well, I guess technically I don't have to look into it. Oh, okay. I take it we're getting into medical terms here. Because YJ is just saying stress-induced cortisol and sleep is what counteracts the effect of cortisol. Sleep is so important. Well, sorry, so important. The neat part with sleep is everybody talked to me. A lot of people spoke to me about this idea that, I need 8 to 10 hours of sleep. And I got thinking about it, and what I found out was, first and foremost, if you're sleeping 8 hours of your day, you're sleeping a full third of your life away. Okay, so I just on a whim one day wanted to calculate it out. What would happen if you cut your sleep to 4 hours a night? Okay, given that you don't lose functionality, that your health stays whole, given you're still able to function, what would happen? And what I discovered mathematically is if you cut your sleep to 4 hours a night, you gain roughly a month to a month and a half of waking time. Yeah, I also find that poor sleep and trying to drive is really exciting for the other drivers. I don't personally recommend it, but it's kind of funny. I'll go into a grocery store and they'll ask how I'm doing. It's like, I'm really tired. Can't really see straight, but that's okay. Or more to the point, can't think right now. But that's okay. I'm just driving. I don't have to be able to think. See, I'm tracking my sleep right now because the last 3 months has been stupid in my eyes. I've been sleeping 12 to 14 hours a day. I'll sleep for 5 or 6 hours a night, wake up, be up for an hour, go back to sleep for another couple. But in deference to that, the last 3 months, I've been fighting between double pneumonia, a severely dislocated knee, and then a swollen leg. So I'm guessing there was viable reasoning for it. I'm just not happy with it. So now what I'm looking at is cutting being productive, because the one thing I discovered, I write, as you well know. Okay. I do write, and because of that, I can end up sitting for hours at a time. But I found by getting up and taking a break every, half an hour, 45 minutes has really helped my legs work. So I mean, what we're looking at this point, how do you reorganize yourself? Well, it really boils down to going, what am I doing? Which way am I going to make my life go? Am I going to continue holding on to the past and the miscalculations I made in the past? Am I going to look back on 2022 and go, that was a shambles, I'm absolutely appalled by it, and hang on to that? Or are you going to look at it going, okay, that's the way it went. Like what I've done is said, okay, 2022 had its problems, but 2023, I am making absolutely certain I stay focused on moving forward. Okay, for me, this is the beginning of a new life. And as the saying goes, welcome to the first day of the rest of your life. Now you get to do what you will with it. Okay, so pick whatever program, whatever plan you've got, or whatever thing you feel is a good thing to focus on in the way of positive progress. Okay, and that's what you start moving things out of the way. Yeah, I know that feeling. I've got just about double that chaos. And Dogface is just going, I'm the most organized I've ever been in my life. First 32 years were chaos, but I was young and it was just what I knew. And that is exactly what I did for the first 59 of mine. Okay, my hope, my goal in this case is to help people get organized to the point that you can actually make headway yourself. Okay, that you can avoid some of the stresses that I've gone through. Because I don't know about you, but for me, I've had enough of the stress. I've had enough of the complications. It's time to really take a look at them and get things moving in the right direction, in my eyes. Now, for me, what I'm looking at, okay, where it comes to my company, and this is something I really am aiming to do, is about halfway through last year, I took my normal consulting fees, which, by the way, bearing in mind, I've been doing this professionally for 36 years. Okay, professionally being generating an income. Okay, I kept raising my prices like everybody else was doing. I was actually up to $180 an hour. About the middle of last year, I went, this is absolutely insane. The people that require assistance do not have $180 free to talk to somebody. You just don't have it on the whole. Okay. But with that in mind, what I went and did, about the middle of last year, went, okay, time to revamp. I've taken my consulting fees and sheared them, cut them down in half to $90 an hour. Okay. See, I got prepared for survival in the event everything goes to pot. I just figure I'll be at the center of the fall apart, and then I don't have to worry about it. But the reality is, I took the cost of my consulting fees and I just sheared them right in half. Okay. Part of that is because of the fact, if you like, I do this for free, absolutely. Okay. And will I ever charge people to listen to me talk on the YouTube? No. Will YouTube eventually help me by paying me to have people talk on the YouTube? Answer is, yeah, I absolutely will. And this is why I mentioned this thing that I found out about YouTube. Is I look at my subscription levels, and apparently when I hit 1,000 people, then I start generating another stream of income. That is my goal, not for you guys to pay for it, but for YouTube to help me in that fashion. That's just the reality behind it. So I am going to be drawing more and more different streams. I am looking into, for instance, because I desire to grow Inner Voice to its ultimate level. Okay, I am starting to look into merchandise. which will be surrounded by different things like t-shirts, coffee mugs, possibly pens. I don't know. The possibilities are endless. Okay, which means I am going to be looking for a t-shirt producer, somebody that can embroider t-shirts, not the iron-on things. Way too many times I see great logos and what have you done with iron-on, and within a couple of months they wear out. Dogface, I absolutely am. That would be really appreciated. Yeah, I go on tonight on Spaced Out Radio from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Pacific time. And yeah, I'm already set to go. I actually was debating, I'm looking at it going, well, I've got this show to do tonight, like this afternoon. And I did go and think about, well, do I really want to? Am I going to miss it? And I'm going, no, I'm really not. I won't come on a Thursday night, right? Simply because of the fact that, frankly, that's my gaming night. Okay, same as Sundays, I try and come on in the morning, but I won't be coming on at night because, again, I'm gaming. And that's where I relax. That's where I get a lot of my information for writing, testing out new ideas. That and memories. That is what I am aiming at. And by the way, I really appreciate that there, Dogface. Right now, it's a slow climb, but I'm now up to 344. So that'll fluctuate a little, but it is climbing. I still haven't gone in and taken the time. And that's all it really boils down to look at changing the name of my channel, which somebody mentioned if I go into settings, I should be able to do it through there. But I don't want to lose what I've already got. Okay. But when I canceled the book fair, and I mean, the way I figured it, they wouldn't listen. I'm just a little fish, basically. And they would not listen to, I don't have the information until this point. So they pushed again. I said, okay. And then he goes, is this a good time to talk? I says, two reasons. I says, no, it's not. One, I'm not at home. Actually, I says, one, this is not Monday afternoon. And therefore, it doesn't work well. I've got no information for you. Two, I'm not home. And with that in mind, with that side of it in mind, and finally he started pushing the sale again. And I said, okay, I'm done. I'm not doing the fair at all. Take your whole offer and do something with it. Okay, because I'm not participating. That door is now closed. And he tried pushing it again. And I said, I'm about to hang up on you in a very rude fashion because I'm done talking about this. Okay, at this point, I'm seriously looking at it going, down the road, will I even bother with this company? Probably not. Okay. Because from my standpoint, draw your boundaries. Know exactly what you're looking at. I was fortunate enough to get an email from somebody in the chat room, and in all fairness, no offense to anybody, I forget who sent it. But I've been offered an opportunity to go on a radio talk show, where they wanted to charge me money. And the guy says, look, I've dealt with these people. If you ever get an offer to go on a radio show to talk about your book, the moment they ask you for money, hang up. He goes, that's a scam. They don't do that. Yeah, it's really weird there, Joe. I have never, in case you couldn't tell by even this, I run by looking at what's going on in the chat room. And when I'm on Spaced Out, when I'm on Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott, I have no idea how he handles so many different chat lines at the same time. But we feed directly off the chat room. Okay. Now, in my case, I'm looking at different things. Okay, needless to say, I'm not exactly what we call the most focused individual on the planet. But I am making a point of upping the hours I'm awake up until midnight. Sometimes it may be longer. I mean, I've had it on Spaced Out where things got really intense in the chat room. And all of a sudden we had a really neat little situation. Tony, how you doing? Glad you could join us. The reality of it is that sometimes things get carried away. Now, I know tonight I've still got a lot of things I've got to get organized. Right, because I'm starting to move books around and to move pictures around. And of course, with finances taking the turn they did, getting some things done is a royal pain in the neck. It really is. But as long as I stay focused on it, and this applies to you, pick what you're capable of, work out a budget. Like, for instance, I figure giving myself time away from the computer and some sort of entertainment, which for me really boils down to, I go down to one restaurant and I have a meal. But I cannot afford to continue spending $300 and $400 a month on restaurants. So I've given myself a budget and said, this is all I'm going to spend. But that's between the meals, between the restaurant and these. Like I said, I was working on these. I haven't gotten very far, but that's the catapult I was referring to. And as you can see, it's been painted all the way around at this point. Oh, okay, that's all rope. So I'll be working on that this weekend. But I am working on those. I haven't added new ones to the list. I went looking for one today. But I have figured out how to organize it so the ones I'm working on, I'll be able to deal with. That would be wonderful. I found out that my cooking is best described as non-toxic. My munchkin is still breathing, so that always works out well. I remember seeing somebody where it comes to the baked potatoes there, Chris. It was really comical. Well, comical in a disturbing way. This person, they were cooking a baked potato in the microwave. And because it wasn't done quite the right way, the microwave burst into flame. Fortunately, it burst into flame inside. Well, I guess the potato burst into flame. I just say, the individual panicked, and I looked at it and went, nope, we'll just unplug the microwave, leave it closed, pick it up and put it outside. That way, if it does get carried away, it'll just melt the snow. Bomber, how you doing? Glad you could join us. The reality is, find what you're content with. A lot of what I'm going to be doing for Christmas this year, I've already started working on them. Okay, but for me, it's going to have a definitive component of self-made. Now, because of the fact that I write, okay, and I write in 5 different genres: science fiction, science fantasy, reference, self-help, children's, and poetry. Okay, so I'm going to be working with a lot of writing this year. The nice part about it for me is that I enjoy it, so it doesn't become work. Yeah, I love the whole idea of baked potatoes is a great idea. One of my other meals that I'm really happy with, that I really enjoy myself, but finding somebody that can cook it properly is a royal pain. Personally, I'm a very fond of liver and onions. Now, I know that's a weird flavor for many people. But liver, onions, and a little bit of bacon on top, a couple of strips of bacon with it is just absolutely fantastic for me. So I got, from my end, where it comes to cooking, I'm starting to expand a little. I now have to take the time. And besides that, I have found that sitting in one place for like 12, 14 hours a day doesn't work well. Somebody just, Christy, how you doing? Glad you could join us. For those of you that have not done so, like I said, I am aiming at coming up to 1,000 subscribers this year. So if you haven't subscribed, absolutely, if you would be kind enough to give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, given, of course, that you appreciate the channel or like the channel at all, that would really help. Well, Tony, at least you're getting the munchies because we're talking about food and not the munchies because of coming down off something. For me, I mean, it's a question of I'm always hungry. This is one of the reasons I ended up on, weighing 246 at one point and decided, I'm just not going that direction anymore. Andy, welcome aboard. Glad you could join us. Yeah, one of the things I did figure out what it was called. Now I forget what it was called, but I'll take rice and vegetables and some form of meat, right? Cook the vegetables and the meat in a frying pan, obviously. Then you cook up the rice, and then once it's cooked properly, mix it in with the pan, mix the whole thing in up with grated cheese. And I forget what that dish is called, but I have found not only is it filling, but at least I can make it so it's edible. Why don't you get your own steak sauce there? I'm looking at this and going, Bomber here is saying, then you dip the queen steak sauce in it. I suggest getting your own, just personally speaking. What do we got? Yeah, I found I was introduced to the cheese in the rice by one of my former girlfriends. Well, I will not argue with you there. Bomber's just saying the queen had good taste. I have no argument there at all. But take whatever you're working on. I'm looking at because you've got 3 aspects of your life that have to be nurtured. Okay, that would be 3. The creative side of your life, the logical side of your life, and everything that doesn't fit into those 2. Oh, so that's what it's called. Okay, and that's what the reference is for. I keep a stock of HP in my own fridge, pretty much for the same reason. But you pick whatever it is that you're not content with. Pick something. Now, I know for me, taking inner voice and going, okay, let's figure out how to expand it, how to actually make it profitable. Now, I already know with this reading, because I've got a consultation coming up tomorrow, okay, which means when I get that, knowing the contract I've already got, the barrier that I had, and what did I do with it? Right there. And that is way too high for what I require. So I'm just going to cure that problem right now. Yeah, I take it there, Bomber, that you got to be over in the UK somewhere. I know my heritage comes from Scotland. Well, realistically, Scotland, Wales, and Great Britain. But I've never actually been there. I've been to I've never been off this continent, period. Oh, there you go. See, I find it neat. I never had any real functional interest, in all fairness, of getting in front of a whole pile of people. It just didn't work out that way from my end. Yeah, I heard about that one. It's unfortunate, but let's face it. When you get into your 90s, I'm hoping I can live that long and be still functional. But I do have to sort things out. Oh, you do that too, Angel. It's like, okay, I had this to eat, I had that to eat, but I want something more. My real failing, and I don't have any in the house right now, which is probably a good thing, is I'll get hungry, and the only thing that I eat that tends to be sweet is ice cream and butterscotch sauce, butterscotch or caramel, depending on who you talk to. Okay, not necessarily a good setup. Uh-oh. Yeah, I tell you, the thing I look at, and this is what I found and why I fired this other company. You're an individual. Okay, but the thing you've got to get through your head, every single one of you, regardless of where you're from, regardless of what your heritage is, your income, your sexual orientation, your financial state, what position you hold in a company, irregardless of all of that, as individuals, okay, you are all worth exactly the same amount on a spiritual base. Now, yes, if you work for a company, there is such a thing as a chain of command. And of course, having grown up with my family in the military, you learn the idea that there are chains of command that are necessary. I'm not a good one for following them, so it's probably a good thing they wouldn't take me into the military. I gotta ask Dogface, okay, what, pray tell, is umami? I like the way you put that. So are mine. I can't even go to a dentist. I'm in the process of trying to figure out how to rebuild my teeth on my own. Like on my own, as in finding techniques and what have you, like I did with my eyeballs, to actually rebuild and repair the damage. Yes. And they really are. This, I really appreciate that, because when I discovered that little piece of information, those 4 words, I am worth it. Those 4 words in any language at all that I've come across, no matter what the race, okay, no matter what the species, it has the same impact on their self-esteem, self-motivation, self-worth, self-direction. You get the idea. Okay. So from my standpoint, it really boils down to this. If you're not content, you're the one that's going to have to make an adjustment. And from my standpoint, I was working with this company, and that's what I'm still working with, okay, to get my Amazon website up and running. We've been having troubles because of the other company, and I'm sitting there going, we're having problems getting everything moving. And then it dawned on me, I've got 5 other books, okay, that are up and in print. And I'm going, why am I only concentrating on these 2? So what I did was I got into my own ISBN number situation. My company actually has the ability to take a book and assign an ISBN number to it. I'm sure there's other things I can do with it, but like I said, the next 4 to 6 months, I'm really learning that side of it. And one of my goals this year is to open up the concept of being able to take somebody else's book and go, here's the book. Okay. here it is. If you want it edited, that'll cost more. But if it's just a case to take your book and get it on the market, I've got a website designed specifically for it. Okay. And within the next 4 to 6 months, my goal is to know enough about marketing and enough about publishing to at least get people through the door. Okay. And it's just that simple. But I do know I'm going to have to go to a lawyer to make sure I get that right. That's not a problem there, Dogface. The answer is yes. I was debating. Now, I've tried doing it. I've done 3 actually excerpts in short form on the YouTube channel already. But I'm finding problems with trying to get the camera to work right. And I don't know if it's a good idea. And this I really ask your guys' input. Is where it comes to the different books I've been writing. Would you like them read while I'm on live here? Which I'm a lousy reader, so just get over that side of it in a hurry. Okay. If you'd like me to read excerpts out of the books while I'm on here, I am more than willing to do that, because the reality is the best books in the world are not going to be found if nobody knows about them. And marketing is clearly not my strongest suit. The reality of it is, would I read the entire book? Well, there wouldn't be much point to that. But getting people to understand, or getting people to see what some of these characters are, because every one of the primary characters I've written, and maybe this will help with those of you that have I'm still looking at the audio side of it. Saint, how you doing? Glad you could join us. I'm still working on a number of things, but the reality of it is that when we're looking at changing people's lives, you changing your life, I'm not going to change anybody's life. Okay, well, that's not entirely correct, but anybody can talk about doing things. The only thing that will stand by in my eyes is that I will not lie to people to make you feel better, unless I'm directly asked. And oddly enough, I've had that happen once. That's not, now when you talk, and I'm just looking at this, Tony, you said you made a mixture of bicarbonate of soda and Himalayan salt to work on the plaque. Okay. Do you have any idea what the long-term effect are? See, I'm looking for a way personally to rebuild the enamel in my teeth. Because if you look back, I was watching a documentary the other day, and they turned around, Mr. L, welcome aboard. Glad you could join us. I was watching a documentary that said, back in the time of the caveman, nobody had bad teeth. They certainly didn't have dentists, and they didn't have, oral surgeons and what have you. But their teeth were perfect, no cavities. So they had to be doing something that we still can do today. Okay. But there's got to be a way to rebuild them. And that's the one key that I'm looking at. Now, with that in mind, I was talking to somebody, and somebody left me a question in the email. And again, my apologies, don't remember who. Where it comes to my eyesight. Now, you've all been told probably the same thing. As you get older, your eyesight will fail. Okay. As you get older, your eyesight's going to go, your hearing's going to go, you're going to develop arthritis. We're giving you all these things that are going to go wrong. Okay. Back in 2007, I discovered an interesting little technique. Up until 2007, I could be holding my glasses this close, and I couldn't physically see my glasses. Period. I could feel them, but I couldn't see them. I now have, where it comes to reading, 20/20 eyesight. Okay, now I still can't read the computer very well here. Where are we here? I agree with you. Yeah, and absolutely there, YJ. Or my apologies. Where are we? Bomber. Absolutely. If I find something, or more to the point, when I find the trigger, I'm going to absolutely be utilizing it. One chap I know has never brushed his teeth in his life. All he's done is used a toothpick and a glass of water to clean out chunks and what have you. Guys' teeth are absolutely perfect. You know, the reality of it is there's got to be a way to turn things around. Now, where it comes to my eyesight, the first thing you find out is this. Why does eyesight fail? It's not because you're getting older. Okay. Literally, eyesight seems to fail because you stop using it. Now, of course, with the advent of digital computers, things change so fast that our brains get lazy and we want to see everything now. So the idea of taking a book, where'd it go? Oh, it's right in front of me. The idea of taking a book and holding on to it and looking at it without things flashing around. Okay, first tricks first. If you don't do this, if you follow the standard path and you don't get your eyes to work, what happens is they will collapse. And here's why. Okay, number one, if you don't use them, they get tired. The moment you put glasses on, you got to understand something here. And I am not a medical doctor by any stretch. Well, by some stretches, but okay, when you move your eyes or move your head, okay, if you're not wearing glasses, your eyes automatically adjust for distance. Automatically they do it. But having taken a course in optics, the moment you take a glass lens, and put it in front of your eyes, it locks the image coming in, the light coming in from a very definitive angle. And of course, light going through a lens is going to change direction. This is just the way light works. So the moment you put glasses on, yes, you'll lock the image in, and now your eyesight will be better with the glasses. But the second you take your glasses off, the eyes have completely atrophied and don't adjust properly. So it's going to take some time by utilizing them to get the eyes to work again. Okay. See, the nice little part about it is when you take and this is where I started with it. Okay, you take a book. Doesn't matter what the book, as long as it's got reading and writing on it. Okay, you take a book. Take your glasses off, and I don't care how much you need glasses. Okay, as long as you can see something, you take the book and hold it as close as you have to be able to read it. Do not worry about how close that is. When I started doing this, I literally had to have my glasses, like my books, that close. I can now put my book out this far and still be able to read it. But of course, I've been using my glasses way too much lately because I've been sitting in front of a computer and I can't see the pixels. My eyes do not adjust well enough to handle the moving side of it. But by doing that, you take the book and all you do is open it up, take your glasses off, okay, and bring the book as close as you have to. And as soon as it's in clear image, sit there and look at it for a minute. Then slowly work your way out so you can still track it. Okay, Now, right there, I'm comfortable. If I don't move the book, I'm comfortable actually reading it. Okay. But you concentrate on the word, and if you don't see it properly, focus so that your eyes can have time to adjust and respond to your mind. The same thing applies to everything else. Okay. Like for me to get my left hand to work, I've got to actually put the effort into it. Your eye is just another muscle. Okay, that's all it is. And thereby, your brain can control it. Ouch. Yeah, that kind of toxin will definitely do it. You know, I use aspirin. And I did find I actually have a toxin level of resistance for aspirin. Of course, that toxin level that makes my stomach start to be upset. For me, that level was 13,000 milligrams of aspirin. Okay, but given the see, I had a slightly different way of destroying my eyes. I took a trailer hitch to the right side, to the right eyeball. Didn't quite remove the eye, but I sure screwed it up a lot. When you're using, yeah, that's the whole catch there, Bomber. If you're using modern medicine, and this is why I'm looking for a natural way to solve the tooth problem. If you're using modern medicine, there is so much chemical that your body doesn't require. Okay, now I am not against the pharmacies. Quite frankly, I'm quite grateful for most of them because these people are some of the most honest people that you'll run into. I know that sounds weird, but think about it. A pharmacy comes out with a new chemical, with a new medication, and they go, "Here's the thing it does to help you, and here's a stack of things it'll do to kill you. So please buy my medication." Now I will not blame the pharmacies for this. They're being honest. They're saying, here's what it does for you. Here's what it can do, what it will do to hurt you. Okay. I personally will not let myself blame them. Okay. It's kind of like blaming people for somebody being shot when the person didn't actually have the gun. Okay, I just can't see the point in turning around and blaming, for instance, Smith and Wesson from, over a century ago, right, for building the pistol, or the Chinese for taking credit for creating gunpowder. They are not the problem. What we do with any of the knowledge we're given is where the responsibility is. See, now I'm a firm believer where it comes into anything that's not working in your body. Okay, anything at all is a dis-ease. Figure out what you're not content with. What are you trying to avoid? Many times what I've found, and anybody working in the healing industry, especially in what they're calling New Age, most of them will tell you, if you're having troubles with your legs, you're having a problem moving forward. If you're having trouble with your back, this is indicative of having trust issues. Okay, of feeling like you're being attacked all the time. If your shoulders are what's causing the problem, the odds are you're feeling like you're carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. Good idea there, Bomber. The reality is when you take a look at anything you're not content with, okay, do what you have to cope to start with. And sometimes this means medication. When I had my heart attack 10 years ago now, they gave me a whole list of medications. And I took the list to the doc, and she goes, "Yeah, this is standard, but what are you going to take?" I said, "I'll take this, and the rest of it I'm not touching. But I did, when I had my stroke, I did actually take a medication. And I told the doc, I'm not taking it for life. I will take it until I get my body back in my control. Okay. Net result, I'm not on any medication to speak of. I've got a couple of supplements because I'm still looking for where to get them in the minerals and the proteins that I require without actually cooking a lot. I'm lazy, I admit it. I don't like my cooking capacity. Yeah, I've been doing that. I think the fenders on my end already fell off. Already blew a wheel. One of the headlights went. Fortunately, my hearing seems to be holding up quite nicely. Of course, the drawback to that is that I can hear myself talk. Well, sanity is great. I mean, haven't you ever heard of the Sanity Clause? It comes around once a year. Good, Bomber, because I'll tell you from practical experience, and in this case, from talking to clients that I've dealt with. Okay, I've seen fibromyalgia healed. I've seen eczema healed that the doctors have given up on. I've seen lupus healed, and I've seen paraplegia healed, where the doctors have said that's not possible. It can't be done. Okay, and I did a video years ago, really could only be a year and a half ago. Okay, I did a video, and look it up in my library. It's free anyway. Okay, titled "Can't." Okay, because can't is the first word I throw out of my vocabulary on the whole. Quite often you'll hear me go, I can't do that. Well, I could do that, but I'm just not going to. Well, I can name a couple of things you haven't lost there, Mr. L. However, I will tell you, the fact that you've realized that you can actually heal it is fantastic. The one thing I would really, really strongly suggest is constantly run the word heal through your mind all the time. Okay, it doesn't require getting into some uncomfortable position like sitting there in the lotus position, which for me works really well for dislocating both knees. Okay, but the way to revitalize yourself, what is this? In all fairness, Dogface, I'm not entirely certain. Oh, okay. First and foremost, the answer to your question, and thank you for the clarification on what NHI is. Tony's just asked, have I had contact with NHI, non-human intelligence, lately? What's the word? What's going to happen in the next 6 months regarding ET, humans, and planet Earth? Well, there's a couple of things. Number one, we take the whole concept of are the off-worlders going to come out and go, hey, we're here? The answer to that is don't hold your breath. They've got no plans for it. Mankind is pumping the airwaves with they're going to come down, they're going to wipe us out, they're going to reveal us and help straighten out the entire world. Hey, bad news, guys. We're on our own. Where it comes to straightening this world out, everybody has to do their own part. Okay, but the off-worlders are not coming down. They're not going to go, oh, here we are, look at us, and here's why. The moment the off-worlders come down here and do that, and the entirety of civilization collapses, because our entire support structure, the entire religious belief structure that so many people buy into wholeheartedly, says we are the only people. There aren't anybody, and there are no people out there. And rest assured, for those of you that already believe in off-worlders and ancient races, for those of you that already believe, it is still one thing to believe in them being there and another to run into them face to face. You know, the nice part is in the next 6 months, what's going to happen here is there's going to be and it's not what the off-worlders are doing, it's what mankind is doing. Humans around the world are starting to question more and more how much of reality is our doing. Okay, and people are starting to realize that yes, humans have reverse engineered all sorts of things from nature and the off-worlders as well as ancient races. They have absolutely, reverse engineered them in order to make advancements. This has been going on for literally millennia. Okay, I mean, quite honestly, if you think about it, mankind has made remarkable adjustments. It wasn't a question of mankind just all of a sudden going, oh, the off-worlders come down and go, here's a computer. This is how it works. Mankind figured it out. Okay. The idea of flying. Yes, there's no question the people that developed flight. Okay, now let's face it. I believe it was Orville and Wilbur Wright who were credited with building the first plane. And they really didn't. There were 3 other people, as far as I recall, I don't remember their names, that created it first. They just happened to market it better. Or, yeah, the Wright brothers just happened to market it better. The important factor is this: in the next few months, what I'm personally hoping to see happen, according to the off-worlders, they're not coming down to fix anything. They're sitting back to watch and see whether mankind, at this critical point in life, is going to wake up and go, hey, we're all on the planet. We're all part of the equation. Let's work together. Okay. When we do, the off-worlders are waiting to see if people are going to do that. And this chat room and many of the chat rooms I've poked my nose into, this is starting to happen. Okay. But they're waiting, the off-worlders are waiting to see what is going to happen. Is mankind going to start pulling together, or is it going to continue turning on itself and finding ways to separate itself? Okay. Yeah, sleepwalking, or somnambulism as it's actually known, can be a royal pain. I never sleepwalked. Okay, but I did used to suffer severely. Well, more to the point, my ex used to suffer severely from my night terrors. I remember one day I woke up in the middle of first thing in the morning, and my wife at the time looked at me. I had a gash from here to here, one from here to here, and one from here to here. Absolutely perfectly parallel. Blood all over the place. My pillow we ended up throwing out. And my wife at the time took one look at me and she goes, I don't even want to know what you were fighting last night. But the thing we have to realize, and 2023 is a perfect time to do it, starting right here, right now, okay, is to start realizing that if we're going to turn society around, in spite of what the so-called elites and the governments are saying, or the major corporations, okay, in spite of that, we have the ability to turn it around. We have the ability to alter things in a positive fashion, but it's going to take concerted effort. See, when you're dealing with anything that you're not content with, we've been taught, many people, and guys are taught this more than women are, or at least they seem to take it to heart more. Don't talk about where your weaknesses are. Don't talk about your flaws, because you'll be seen as weak and people will take advantage of you. The important factor with any illness you're dealing with is that, number one, and bear in mind, for me, illness, the state of my office was a state of illness. It's healing now, as in I'm clearing the clutter out of the way to be able to function properly. Okay. When we're looking at anything that is not running smoothly, it is a dis-ease. Okay. And this is what we're talking about, shifting gears. Okay, about looking at what you're content with, looking at what you're not content with, and really making the effort to turn that around. Now, where it comes to, I look at the four major aspects of health. And these ones I encourage all of you to really take advisement on and really start correcting them. The four aspects of health. Okay, and bear in mind, 4 is the number of foundation. Okay, but the 4 aspects are physical, mental, financial, and spiritual. Well, the physical health is the easy part, and this is what a lot of what's going on in the chat room here is discussing fibromyalgia. Now, fibromyalgia is, as far as I understand it, an overexcitement of the nervous system. Okay, now to that thinking, and it's only a ballpark, but as you bring your stress level down, the hyperfiring of the nervous system should theoretically collapse. Net result, you'll be able to function more effectively. Ouch. I think that's an entertaining idea there, Bomber. Of course, as a kid, I was a little bit twisted, I'm sure of it. But, Bomber's just saying, if you want to get an idea of what it feels like to have fibromyalgia, right, climb inside a cement mixer, and do not do this. This is a bad idea. But picture what would happen. Okay. What's being said in the chat room here is you climb up. Where are we here? Yeah, and we're just going to stop there because it's scrolled past, and this is where I run into a problem. I'm trying to do that. But the more you understand about what is holding you back, as it were, the better off you are. So find the things that you can relax with. For me, writing helps. And if you take a look at some of the writing I do, it is absolutely bizarre. It's absolutely violent. Actually, that's not an entirely bad idea. I'm still having trouble with the computer, and this is why I'm going to be replacing it. Okay, but as you bring your stress level down, your energy level climbs. Now, the mental side, the physical side is the easy part. This is where you look at illnesses, collapsing teeth, throat problems, eye problems. You've got a weight issue. Okay, this is physical. These are easy to quantify, usually. Very, very simple to understand where the hiccup is. Then you can repair them. Then you've got your mental side. And that really comes to talking to people that have gone through it and successfully dealt with it in order to get back on track. And yes, oftentimes this means going to a modern doctor or a modern naturopath to find a crutch to get you there. Okay. But you again, deal with the problem. Get to know what the holdup is. Get to know where the hiccup is. As you look at that, That's the mental side of it. Financial is the easy one. Okay, that's the easiest of all because you put it down on paper and you literally, or on a spreadsheet, and you literally track it daily to stay on top of the finances. As you get the financial stress out of the equation, you're going to feel a whole lot better about the way your life is going. And by the way, all of these things apply to every species I've ever met. Okay. There is a very big difference between finding a way to cope, or as YJ put it, you learn to block it out. Okay. Yeah, that is a coping mechanism. I learned that if I take time and sit down, that my right knee doesn't buckle half as much, although it still does. But that's the mental side of it is easy. The financial side, you simply track it. Budgets, I've found, only work if you've got a definitive amount of money coming in. Otherwise, tracking it so that you can look back over the month and go, oh, I've spent this much money on entertainment. For the next month, don't spend that much. Okay, the spiritual side, to get the energy running properly, and this will affect your energy level, your stress level, your ability to think clearly, your ability to keep your emotions stable. All of this is connected to the clutter you have in your house. Okay. The nice part about it is as you find the things that make you happy and you eliminate the things that you don't, you move them out of your life. Sometimes this means disconnecting from people you've known for a great deal of time. Okay, I actually had a friend that I did that to. I literally, because they were toxic. Okay, or I shouldn't say they were toxic. The combination of the two of us was toxic. I finally said, scrap it, and I just terminated the whole connection. Okay, do I wish it could have worked out better? Certainly. Am I going to take the time to try and rebuild this one in particular? No. The important factor is you remove the clutter in your house. Not only will, like I said, your stress will drop, mental clarity will come back, emotional stability, your ability to relax, to be able to actually sleep properly, all comes back into balance. Okay, and let us not forget that when we're talking about diet, the more natural the source is, the better off you are. Now, this is just my personal opinion, essentially. I'm all for people, if you desire to use a supplement, absolutely do, but know what the supplement is. Now, years ago, I was told that the best way to tell if a supplement is a really good one is take the supplement and put it in straight water, just room temperature water, and drop it in. Okay, and leave it sit there for a few hours. If the supplement dissolves in straight water, it's a good supplement. If it doesn't, there's too much in the way of additives. That's just the way I was taught to look at it. But I will tell you this, especially with regards to anything that is physically not working right. Sitting doing nothing, quite frankly, from my experience and from the people I've talked to, aggravates the problem immensely. This is one of the things that you have to look at. But when we're looking at how do you revitalize your life, well, what we're talking about doing is identifying what is stopping you from moving forward. Why are you not happy? Why are you not making progress? See, if I look at the books, I was content. I opened Inner Voice Enterprises on roughly August 11th, 2020. August 11th of 2007. Okay, at approximately 12:45. It happened to have been a Friday. Okay, but I did just about nothing with it, and I didn't bother working to make it any better. And I do share that sentiment there, Dogface. Dogface is just saying that the people in this chat room have made his life better, and I will tell you, the encouragement and the support that I've got from you guys has been phenomenal. And if you're listening into this and you haven't actually, if you're listening into this, to this video, to this feed, what did I just do? That was wrong. If you're listening into this feed and you haven't done so already, it would be really appreciated if you look down in the bottom right corner, if you like the feed, okay, give us a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel. Okay, because I can honestly say the support I get here and from other chat rooms, and if you look at the top of the, as a matter of fact, I should do that here. Where is it? If you look at the top of the chat room, you'll find a whole list of people that have chat rooms that are, that I strongly recommend that you go and take a look at. Okay, because they're people that really do turn around and help. Where are we here? See, these are just some of the people. Now, of course, I continue. Dave doesn't get much time to come in here on occasion. But the reason for that is Dave is so busy with his own line and doing such incredible work. He just doesn't have the time for it. What, pray tell, did I just do with it? Oh, that's what I did. I had it on the wrong screen. So I go down here. Now, of course, Shadow comes in here. Shadow and Sons. What? Oh, this is Nathan's. And again, I've been on Nathan's show, on the Quantum Show. And he's got some really neat topics that show up. So absolutely check him out. Now, I've heard various different things. Why would you tell people, here's another show to go to? The reason for it is this. If you do that, okay, from my standpoint, it's just simply my own outlook. If you turn around and do that, what you're doing is saying, hey, I appreciate your support. I'm going to see what I can do to help support you. It's a question of energy out, energy in. Okay. Now, I don't know if Shadow's still in the room, but this is Shadow and Son. And I really should look at some of what they're up to in the way of being able to say, this is where it goes. If I take a look at it, I know the Quantum Show goes into some really bizarre fringe stuff, which is fantastic from my standpoint. And then, of course, Shadow and Son, they deal with the creative side of things, with figure painting and that sort of thing. Yeah, Dave has done, I remember roughly 8 years ago when I first got together, when I was first introduced to Dave, there was a lot of question as to whether or not I should be part of the show. I didn't have to deal with any of it. Dave handled it beautifully. And net result, I know in, 3 hours now, I'll be back on his show. Okay, because it's the first Friday of the month again, which just came up there. That was, Chad, that's yours. And again, Chad has some really neat topics that he deals with. And this other one here, this one here is, I just got to find it and I'll tell you because I can't read it in that range. This one here is World Bigfoot. Now, of course, you gotta realize with a name like World Bigfoot, you really have to go, gee, I wonder what he's talking about. Like he's talking about people with big feet. Yeah, but he does a fantastic job. I've listened to a number of his shows. And he does a really good job in covering that topic. I'm still trying to figure out why. I appreciate that, YJ, but, from my standpoint, I'm really not that special. I know the doctors told me and told my parents I was mentally retarded after the fever I took. I gotta ask, how the heck you managed to survive that? And that just about came out really, really badly there, Mr. L. Mr. L is just saying, I haven't eaten in 3 days. I'd pass out if I hadn't eaten in 3 days. I have trouble eating longer apart than 3 hours. From my standpoint, it's very simple. If we're going to, and I say if, because it is up to the individual. It's up to you guys as individuals. Do you desire your life to change? If so, the time to do so is now. Now, we can talk about all the negative things that happen and all the fear that's going to go on. But I will tell you, where it comes to the off-worlders, where it comes to both the off-worlders and God, neither one of them is coming down here to straighten this mess out. Okay, this is a mess that mankind created, and thus it is a mess that we have the capacity to correct and to turn around and make right again. This is something that we have to realize. Looking to the off-world, I got asked by somebody one day, well, if the off-worlders are so interested in us, why don't they come down and help us straighten this out? Politely put, humans on the whole won't listen. Okay. And I know that sounds rude, but, in all fairness, most of the time I find the off-worlders have the same deaf ear syndrome. Okay. This is why I keep having to deal with them and sort out the same problems with them I do with humans. Okay. Now, like I said, I came here to simply let people know that working together, we can make this a better world. But it's going to take work. Okay. It's not something that's just going to happen overnight. That's not quite the way it goes. A couple more cell phones. Joe's just asking, what would it take for an actual zombie apocalypse to happen in 2023? Okay. Really? Put a couple more cell phones out there. People are wandering around with these things. In case you hadn't noticed, they're walking around, looking at their cell phones. I've seen people literally walk into a wall because they weren't paying attention to the world around them while they were doing this. Now, to me, it's pretty cut and dry. If I'm looking at the cell phone, I'm not going very far. Okay, at least not without hurting myself. But a so-called zombie apocalypse is not going to happen. This idea of the zombies coming out and attacking you and biting somebody and the illness passing on because of it, not going to happen. Dudes, not in my opinion anyway. Is it technically possible? I suspect. But here's the funny part about it. It's also technically possible that Earth's gravity will stop like that. And we'll all end up in orbit. Well, in all fairness, you wouldn't even be in orbit. Is it possible it could happen? Certainly. The hard part here is it boils down to people finding a reason to get their hand out of the electronics. Okay. People talk about being chipped and this being the end of the world because we're all going to be forced to be chipped. Bad news for you. See this funny thing? It's got a chip in it. And whether it's on or not, it can and will be tracked. They know where you are. The cameras that are built into these things, I cannot prove it. Shut the thing off. They've still got a way of looking through it. Okay. This is, and like I said, I don't have any proof of this. Okay, except for what comes out in about 20 or 30 years when they acknowledge it. What do we got here? Ultimately, yes. Well, yeah, and in all fairness, this is one of the reasons why I became completely, very much a recluse. I leave the house when I have to. And I do know that starting to push this and this little book, like I told the company that's putting my Amazon page up, this particular book, Believe in Yourself and Follow Your Dreams, not very big. Okay. But it does document the path that the tools I personally use to turn my own life completely around. At this point, I'm looking at 2023. We're 6 days into it, and I've got more focus on the positive side of what I can pull off by the end of 2023 than I've had in over a decade. Now, you'd think I'd be having troubles with the whole idea, considering my job just went the way of the dodo bird. In the last month, I fired 2 companies that were supposed to be helping me, and I finally dug up the nerve, and if you will, the backbone to say, no, I've had enough. I'm going to make this happen, but I'm going to do it on my terms. Okay. And therefore, you've got the same, the reality is, as the saying goes, all that I do, thou shalt do, and more. In other words, if I can pick myself up off the ground and go, I'm no longer drinking, I'm no longer doing drugs, and I'll be danged if I'm going to let anybody stop me from getting my books printed. I will find a way to do it. But if I can do it, you can do it. I could theoretically go out and learn about auto mechanics. Okay. And I did find out something very important about them. When I have a problem with my car, I go to an auto mechanic. Yeah. No, definitely not. Mind you, the one thing I do have to point out there, Dogface, the one thing I got to point out is if you've got a cell phone, you've got a computer. This computer right here has more power than the original Cray does. And it was a 3-block computer. This world, the thing that people have forgotten, and this is where change starts. Talk to the people around you. And I mean the physical people. I don't mean sit there and use a cell phone. And don't get me wrong, I'm really, really content with the fact that more and more people are coming in here and that the numbers are staying at a higher level. Okay, now the best I've had in here so far is I think the best I've had is 18 at one point. Okay, but I mean, you take a show like Dave's. Now, of course, Dave's been doing this for 8 years. I've been doing this for 1. Okay, and he's been in sales way longer than I have. I've been in sales to the point of I like that, so I'm going to buy it. That's too expensive for me, so I'm not going to buy it. I've never been one that's been drawn to money. Okay. I will tell you that was a pretty severe miscalculation. Okay. You have to look at money, but the thing with money is it is not the root of all evil. It's just easier to move a $10 bill than it is a cow. And besides that, a $10 bill doesn't eat anything. Cows, not the problem. But find something you're content with. For me, it's real simple. Okay. I'm number 1, content with the way my health is starting to turn. Yeah, Joe, the neat part there, I went into a cell phone company, like into a repair company, and I asked them a very simple little point. Okay. I said, look, I don't require all these bells and whistles. I require a phone for phoning, for texting, and for FaceTime. That's it. Okay. I says, what do I have to do and what do I have to have? Now, my phone company was quite willing to put me on a no money down payment, right, for $60 a month for 2 years. Okay. Which really boils down to a $1,200 phone. Now, when I talked to this other company, they said, hey, don't kid yourself. You require this cell. Okay, that's it. If that's all you need, you require this cell phone for a whopping $200. And I said, we'll swap the SIM into it and everything will be up and running at the same time, no problem. Well, let's face it, I'm not getting a $1,200 phone. I don't require one. Okay, technology is here. It's not going away. But with technology here, we've got to start talking to people about what we desire as individuals. Get away, and don't get me wrong. Like I said, if it weren't for the computer, there is no way I'd be reaching any of you. And I really do enjoy it at this point. I honestly didn't think I ever would. But pick something that catches your attention. From my standpoint, the backbone has been the Yldrbac Chronicles. Since then, Inner Enterprises, as of last night, has taken on a whole new, or more to the point, a completely revitalized approach. Okay, where I know, yes, I'm going to keep writing the books. Yes, I'm going to keep doing the YouTube, and eventually the YouTube channel will generate an income. Okay, I will continue to do consulting as far as business or personal. And again, to get a hold of me for any of this, do understand. Number one, I work by video. There's very few times I'll actually talk to anybody on a phone, but here's the reality. I only charge $90 an hour. Okay, but I work prepaid and that has to be done either by direct deposit or by PayPal. And the reason for that is because of one thing. I have had way too many times when somebody says, can I get some time with you? And, I'll pay you afterwards. And what ends up happening is they don't pay. Now, it's not that I've got any problem with talking to people personally. Because like I've said, if you've got a question, okay, absolutely ask me. But there are times when questions are a whole lot more complicated. And I've noticed a couple of times, even in the chat room, one person will have a whole long bunch of things to sort out. Okay. And it becomes tricky on occasion because I'm doing my best to answer whatever questions come through the door. And, Bomber, that's what I was getting at earlier. When it comes down to the so-called zombie apocalypse, it's a great storyline. Okay, it really is. And, from a movie standpoint, it is. The problem, they did something stupid in my opinion, with some of the new movies, with some of the new zombie movies. The zombies move fast, they're quick, they're stronger, faster. And they go, these are zombies. I'm like, no. Zombies, I'm still what I guess you would call it a purist. Where I look at the things like the Dawn of the Dead from back in the late 60s, or Night of the Living Dead, where the zombies were just completely mindless. The most they ever said was brains, as they staggered along, trying to catch up with people. Seeing movies like that or concepts like that are great. The thing that like I mentioned, I play Dungeons and Dragons, and my character in Dungeons and Dragons right now has just started building an entire empire. But what I found is this: what I'm doing in D&D, tends to replicate itself in the real world. So when I talk about this idea of I'm going to build an empire, I'm going to build a publishing company where people that have a book, no matter whether it's a really poorly written one, but there are genres I won't touch. I will not be touching the adult like adult oriented books. Okay, I won't be touching I myself. I might touch horror as far as publishing of somebody else's, but I certainly won't be writing it. You know, but the adult books that are literally focused on the intimate relationships between people, I won't carry them at all. Okay, you're more than welcome to them. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with those books. It's just I draw the boundary on that one. You know, but what I'd like to do, what I'm going to do, never mind what I'd like to do. I already talked to it into my executive assistant, which, by the way, also happens to share the other aspect, being my half. Okay, and before anybody comes to this wonderful conclusion of, well, isn't that a conflict of interest? I don't know. My mom and dad lived under the same roof for 60 years, never fought, and ran multiple businesses together, where dad did the work and mom handled the office. Okay, never had a complication. So I don't see the problem with it. But, you know, I take a look at it and go, I'm going to build a publishing company where no matter what the person's quality is, they'll get one of two options. Either this is what the book is, find out what it's going to cost to get it printed, because I've got a publisher that I'm going to work with, and got a printer that I'll work with. But the delay is working out how the marketing works. Paul, glad you can make it. Welcome aboard. You know, so I will be opening up that side of it. I'll be continuing with the writing. The publishing is going to be a way, and yes, I will eventually get into audiobooks. But I gotta find somebody else to read, because I stumble over my own words way, way, way too often. I don't know where it was. Okay, I stumbled across it a while back. There is a program out there that literally does voiceover, where you type in whatever it is that you require read, and this computer will literally do a voiceover, so you can do the audiobook yourself. See, I do, you know, in all fairness, Dogface, you know, I absolutely understand why people do that. Myself, I figure, you know, I have enough trouble remembering names, never mind remembering my own. Okay, so I just go, and when you look in the chat room, I used to do it as well, where I used a different name. Okay, and I got thinking, I remember so much easier what I do if I stick to my own name and don't create an extra image. Okay, but that's me. Okay, even when I was working the live fairs, okay, the live psychic fairs, people were always going with different names. Okay, and they even hung one on me. I mean, at one point when I was working with the live fairs, the other psychics I was working with, because I read everything from Riverstones to astrology. Okay, they called me the Celestial Prophet. Now, I'm no prophet in my eyes. I simply see what's coming, and what I see coming, and go, there it is. I've been called a lot of things. Some of them are repeatable in polite company. You know, but the problem is I can't prove it until about 30 years down the road when it comes out. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that are done that are absolutely useless. In all fairness, YJ, you know, what I found is this. it's wonderful having a program or having the convenience of some of these computer programs. Wonder. Just because I'm curious. No, it's up front. But we've got the computer I'm reading on that I'm looking at right here. I've got the cell phone, right? But I still prefer my solar powered calculator, or better yet, the pen and paper to do calculations on. Well, that actually, the funny thing there, YJ, is there was a saying I grew up with. If you're going to do something, ask yourself one question. Okay, well, technically two. If I do this, could I stand up and proudly say, I did this? Okay, with the sole exception of not telling people what you're buying for buying them for Christmas or for a birthday. Genuine positive surprises. Could I stand up and tell people I did this and be happy about it? Or am I thinking of doing something I'd have to hide? If you're thinking you would have to hide it, it's best you not do it at all. Well, what do we got here? Don't do anything. Yeah. YJ has just said, moral of the story, don't do anything online you'd be ashamed for mother to know about. I just look at it going, there are times when parents will embarrass their kids, and it's just simply the way they do things. And you got to realize they grew up in their environment, you grew up in yours. Yeah, well, like you, Dogface, most people are born with this thing. They're born with this fine little voice in their ear that says, oh, wait a minute, before you say that, you really shouldn't say anything. Just bite your tongue down. Myself, I was born with a slightly defunct one. And it usually waits until after I say something and then pipes up and goes, you really shouldn't have said that. It's kind of like closing the barn door after the horse left. And honestly, Dogface, and I'm probably the last person to ask, I'm a firm believer that there's no such thing as being too honest. If somebody asks me a question, I have learned, I will tell them, you're not likely to like it. Okay. You may not like what I'm going to tell you, what the answer to that. So do you really want the answer? More often than not, they go, yep, I definitely want the answer. So I go, here you go. I made the mistake of actually telling a boss one day, I was trying to switch jobs about probably 10 years ago now. I was trying to switch jobs to a call center. And the long and the short of it, when I was asked about where my values were, I looked at the boss and I said, look, frankly, if I don't feel I'm doing a good job, I don't care what you think I'm doing as far as the job goes. Probably not the right way to put it, considering I didn't get the job. Okay, but I ran into that on Space Radio one day. Somebody asked why they should believe me, and I never even thought about it. Thank heavens Dave knew how to sort it out, because I sat there for a second and I says, "What makes you think I care whether you believe what I'm saying?" And I can't do much about it. That's the whole thing. If you're being honest, you never have to try and remember what you said. Look, give me half a second here. Good morning, Dave. I'm actually live on the air right now, but yes, I am ready for tonight. Hey, how you doing? Try that again. We are. Yeah, I'm just closing down. I'm on air right now. But yeah, I am ready to come on air at 9 o'clock tonight. Ought to be an interesting one. Yeah, absolutely. Not a problem. We will talk to you in a few hours. Okay. Take care. Ciao. And there you have it. Live on air. I will be on air in a couple hours here. And welcome, welcome to live radio. I mean, could I have left that hidden? Certainly. But why bother? So I mean, we have to look at where our life is and go, are you content? It's time to look at 2023 with this idea of where are we going to make this go? Are we going to sit back and wait for somebody to come down and say, it's all better, we're all fine? Okay. Because I don't know about you, but doesn't look like that's a very likely outcome. Nightmare. Long time no see. Glad you could join us. Well, that is a way to get on the phone, to get on the show. I don't think that was the plan, but that worked, YJ. One day I'll figure out one day I'll talk, once I've got the new computer, I'll look at it, because there's a lot of change that can happen. And the reality is I'm not having a repeat of 2022. A lot of people I talk to are going, oh, this went wrong, and I got to correct this, I got to change that. I'm going, no, 2022 is back there. I'm here. I'm going that direction. You want to see how well looking out the back window works? Try driving. No, don't. Don't do that. Okay. But picture what would happen if you're staring out the back window. And I don't mean just looking at the rearview mirror. I mean, turn around, look out the back window while you're trying to drive forward. Okay. And think of just how far you're going to get, especially if you're driving on a road. Okay, like on a winding road. But, the reality is we've got a phenomenal opportunity in front of us right now. Okay, and as I'm making changes, I will be keeping you posted, as far as what's coming up. If I could figure out how to make it work, like I know how to do Skype, but I don't know how to translate Skype to live. Okay, to this side of it. And that might be the way, because Skype works for me. It really does. But I have no idea how to cross-link them. Yeah, see, I've been in cemeteries where they've tried to, where I've watched them come up. Now, granted, I haven't been in a cemetery this lifetime where they actually climbed out of the ground physically, but I watch the spirits do it all the time. In all fairness, I've heard a lot about Art Bell's show. I've never actually, honestly, I've never listened to it. Okay. But then my problem is that I tend to get way too much on the go. But we have a decision to make. This is only the 6th of January. We can, as individuals, choose to look to the past and go, oh, everything was such a bad year, and I'm going to dwell on the things I didn't do that I should have done, etc., etc. Yeah, that would definitely create a problem. My entire family has been cremated too, as far as I know. I know they wanted to be. The only one I'm not entirely certain of is my one brother. But yeah, people have asked me, and I mean, your guys' insistence for 6 months on Dave's show, people bugged me for 6 months to go live, right? And it turned out to be a fantastic idea. Now, where it comes to bringing somebody on this show, again, I have no doubt I will get there. I've still got it, but I've got to replace my computer first, because this one minor hiccup and I lose the whole 9 yards. That's just the reality behind it. But we are hitting the 2-hour mark here. And with that in mind, I am going to bring this to a close. Okay. But thank you so much for joining me. And again, in 3 hours, I'll be on Dave Scott's show on Spaced Out Radio. I'll be there from 9 to 11 p.m. PST. Okay. But until we meet again, take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.